Hello, my name is Markus Wesaw, and I am an authorized OSHA Outreach Training Instructor. My email, website, and telephone number are listed on the screen, so if you would like to schedule a course or contact me about this video presentation, feel free to do so. I wanted to share a brief overview of some general information regarding this video presentation and how I conduct OSHA Outreach Training courses. Most courses that I conduct are privately held for employers for their own employees, and although I don't do as many, some public courses are held in hotel conference rooms and learning centers all across the United States. So if you are an individual or a very small group, feel free to contact me to see what the schedule is going to look like and what courses are going to be offered in the near future. If you are an employer, I'd love to hear from you to see how we could arrange an OSHA Outreach Training course for your employees. Most of the information contained in this video presentation is going to be geared towards educating and informing an employer on how to pursue an OSHA Outreach Training course, as well as the various restrictions and regulations that surround the issue of having a course. So more to come. On your screen now, you're going to see the OSHA card hierarchy, and as you can see, there are 4 branches to the OSHA Outreach Training Program. There is the 10 and 30 hour construction, 10 and 30 hour general industry, several 10 and 30 hour courses in maritime, and the OSHA 7600 disaster site worker, which is a 16-hour course. So this provides you with just an overview of what the cards look like and what you get upon successful completion of one of these courses. Again, just to be clear, the OSHA Outreach course offerings that I conduct are the 10 and 30 hour general industry safety courses, 10 and 30 hour construction safety courses, the OSHA 7600 disaster site worker course, which is 16 hours long, and the 10 and 30 hour shipyard employment, marine terminals, and longshoring maritime courses. OSHA does mandate that certain participant requirements are met. So we must have a minimum of 3 participants and a maximum of 40. So that's the range for participants in which we can even have a course. So if you have less than 3, we can't have a course. If you have more than 40, we'll probably have to break up the group into 2 smaller sections. We must confirm the identity of participants, so what we'll ask is for some kind of government ID to be shown on the first day of the course to confirm that identity. I do ask that participants are able to understand English, because if they do not, then we're really obliged to do a translated course, which actually doubles the length of the outreach course, and it also costs a little bit more to get a translator in there. Some outreach instructors are bilingual and they can translate the course for you, and maybe you will find that a little bit more beneficial. Participants are asked to complete a registration form prior to the course. Each participant will be required to sign in on the sign-in sheet every day, and most of all, attendance is an absolute requirement for the duration of the course. And if there's something that comes up where a participant is unable to successfully attend the course for like an emergency or some other pertinent reason, we can always make up the course later, but there are pretty stringent rules on that as well. So feel free to give me a call about that if you've got a question. Let's turn our attention now to the course requirements. The OSHA 10-hour courses, as well as the OSHA 7600 disaster site worker courses, must be conducted over a minimum of 2 days by OSHA mandate. The 30-hour OSHA courses must be conducted over 4 days by OSHA mandate. So then, in addition to those requirements, each day of training must be at least 1 hour, and it cannot exceed 7.5 hours by OSHA mandate. So this actually provides us with a little bit of flexibility. For example, let's say we have a 10-hour OSHA construction course. We can schedule that over 2 days. So day 1 could look like 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. and then we could follow up on the second day from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. and that would be perfectly all right. So we can maneuver the schedule a little bit to accommodate your busy schedule within your organization. One of the major benefits to having a classroom course is that we are able to do course electives. OSHA allows for instructors to cover certain subject matter. So let's take, for example, the OSHA 10-hour construction safety course, where we can focus a whole 2 hours on 2 or more subjects like cranes, excavations, materials handling, scaffolds, stairways and ladders, and hand and power tools. In addition to that requirement, we are also able to dedicate a full hour to any other safety topic. So we have some flexibility, and the other outreach training courses also have some flexibility where we can kind of delve into the more relevant subjects. Now, what I do ask is that any employer should contact me directly prior to the first day of course to determine the most relevant direction. So if we're going to stick with our example here on the 10-hour construction, if you don't do anything with cranes and excavations, but scaffolds and stairways are very relevant to your work, well, maybe we do an hour on each one of those, and that would meet the requirement. Every course that I conduct will involve course materials. So course materials and references are provided either in handout form or downloadable electronic resources. And then I've also put out a good deal of supplemental video presentations that expound on the material covered, so participants can actually look at those video presentations as well. And I like to use the course materials in every course to stimulate a little bit of discussion, to see if there are any questions out there that need an answer. So it's a good push and pull technique that I like to use in the class, and it also, most of all, really gets everyone involved and gives them something to touch and feel and look over during the course. So course materials are provided as a function of the learning process with every OSHA Outreach Training course that I conduct. Well, now we turn to that age-old question, your place or mine? When it comes to the location of having a course conducted, what I typically do is conduct the course at the employer's location. However, we do have to maintain an acceptable learning environment, such as a conference room or similar classroom setting. So most office space works as long as we have enough room and we have access to restrooms for comfort breaks. Now, we are not allowed to conduct an OSHA course at a bar or strip club. So sorry to all of you who would prefer that, but we just can't do it. OSHA won't let us. And if you don't have the appropriate learning environment at your place, let's say your conference room could comfortably seat 10 people and you've got 40, well, then what I'll ask you to do is find a hotel conference room for a couple of days or 4 days, depending on which class we go with, and we'll conduct the course there. But again, this is not included in our cost. You would have to provide that location as your organizational cost. Scheduling is quite important. I do try to remain as flexible and convenient as possible when it comes to scheduling these OSHA Outreach Training courses. We can do nights, weekends, and some holidays. Not all. Don't call me on Thanksgiving or Christmas, but if it's Flag Day or Columbus Day, I'll probably hold a course on those days if we can. Again, I will travel to your location, wherever that may be, and rush jobs are okay. And what I mean by rush job is, let's say it's 1 o'clock now, and you found out half an hour ago that you need to have this course by Saturday, and we have the next 2 days to do it, or you're not going to get a job done or something like that. If I have the time and we come to an agreement, then I will do the course. And that's as simple as that. If I cannot do the course, call me anyway, because I may have a few referrals of some colleagues that I know of that would do a real good job for you as well, and maybe we can get them scheduled in for you to make that happen. So you want to know how far I will travel. I travel all over the United States all the time. So here's a map of the United States, of our great country, and whether you are down in Harlingen, Texas, Shreveport, Louisiana, or Bellingham, Washington, or all the way up to Portland, Maine, or Chesapeake, Virginia. I've been to all these places to do courses, and I will continue to go. The only thing that I ask is for travel costs to be reimbursed, and for that we need to kind of examine pricing next, so you have a good idea of the cost of an OSHA Outreach Training course. The way the cost of each OSHA Outreach Training course works is that you first have to figure out which course that you want and how many courses that you're going to need. So some companies need a 10-hour general industry and a 10-hour construction, or a 10 and a 30, or any other arrangement. But just pick out the course. There's a chart there. You can press pause on this video and kind of look more in depth at the different fee structures here. But the way it works is by course and participant number. So as you remember, we have up to 40, no more than 40, and we have to have a minimum of 3. So that's how these 4 tiers work. We have tier 1 at 3 participants up to 10, 11 participants up to 20, 21 participants up to 30, and 31 participants up to 40. That's how it's structured. So all of your 10-hour courses, no matter what 10-hour course that it is going to have a range from that bottom tier of up to 10 individuals at a cost of $825, and it goes up from there to up to 40 participants at a cost of $3,196. And if you're looking at the OSHA 7600 16-hour disaster site worker course, or any of the OSHA 30-hour courses, it's also broken down by participant number in the same tier structure, with a range of $1,746 for up to 10 participants, and it increases from there to a maximum of $6,768. But if you have more volume or more individuals than that, feel free to call me and we can work out a more formal arrangement for the cost of the course. And then another note is that this does not include travel if it's necessary for me to travel. So travel expenses are basically estimated and added to the costs outlined above. And keep in mind too that these costs are just a basic guideline. We've been operating at these costs for quite some time, but if something changes and it increases costs, well, we might have to look at a different arrangement in the future. But call me to confirm pricing and travel expenses for a better idea of the expense to hold one of these courses. Payment. How do we get paid? How do we work that out? Well, payment's expected prior to locking in a training date. Because I travel and because of so many other very important reasons, we don't even schedule a course officially until payment's remitted. But you can always call and discuss other arrangements with us. So that being said, if you want to hold a course next week, before I'm going to lock that in my schedule, payment has to be made, and then I'll commit my time and effort to that course. If you got some questions about that, please let me know. And we do accept all major credit cards and e-checks over the phone and via secure internet connection. There's quite the debate as we move on now to whether or not the online environment is better than a classroom. And who's to say? I don't know one way or the other. I see pros and cons in both directions. So I'm going to try to be fair and balanced here as much as I can. But I'll discuss the pros and cons a little bit on each one of these topics so you can make up your mind for yourself on what's more beneficial for your organization. Because I want the best for you. Sure, I'd love to do a course for you, but if the online training course works better for you, then you probably need to pursue that option. I'm most of all just happy that organizations are providing the training these days. So, online training doesn't require a minimum of 3 people. So if you've got 1 or 2 people that need it and you can't come up with a third, well, this is an excellent option. It's also more flexible in scheduling. So if an individual wants to be up at 3:45 in the morning in their pajamas on a computer doing their OSHA 10-hour general industry course. That's totally fine. Now, a lot of people tell me that the course is boring because it's narrated, and those in education arguably say it's less effective. So that's more of an opinion. I don't know where we're at with learning styles and things of that nature because it's a more complex issue. But it can be cheaper for smaller groups. The material is often canned and rigid, and it does require a passing test score at the end. So there is a final test, and I believe there are some quizzes that you have to take as well along the way. So that's a little bit about the pros and cons of online training. Classroom training is a little bit different. It requires at least 3 people to have a course and no more than 40 people. It's arguably more effective in the education realm because we can get more people involved, and perhaps it's less boring, but I may be a little biased there. It's person-centered and job-focused, so that means if I have a bunch of engineers or welders in a group, I can focus on their interests and their specific jobs as they relate to health and safety regulations. So that is a major pro in considering classroom versus online. Now, questions are answered faster because I'm right there. You can ask me, and if I don't know, I can get information to you very quickly. Electives are a major benefit. We've talked about those already, but they do provide a little bit more flexibility. The online training courses are rigid and they don't really allow for that flexibility. I don't give a test at the end of the course. A lot of instructors do. I don't. It just takes up too much time. If I did give a test, it would be very short, so it's not an absolute requirement to my knowledge at this time. So if I'm wrong, I'll change that in the future, or if that changes, maybe there's a test in the future. But right now, no test. And it's usually a more expensive training option, which is why a lot of companies turn to the online training option. But, you know, there are a lot of debates we could go into on that, but typically it's going to be a lot more in cost than your online, except in larger groups where we can actually compete a little bit more efficiently at that point. And finally, the classroom is discussion and lecture based. So it's push, it's pull, it's questions being asked and answered, and we just have to stay on topic. That's probably the biggest challenge as an instructor. A little bit about me. I'm a certified safety professional, and I've been teaching OSHA Outreach courses for more than 5 years. I also teach at Central Wyoming College as an adjunct and contract health and safety instructor, and I'm very experienced in the oil and gas, construction, maritime industries for regulatory compliance. I provide subject matter expertise in litigation and settlement cases, so I work with attorneys frequently. And I have more than 10 years consulting experience in safety and health management. And finally, one of the more surprising things is that I'm a practicing industrial and engineering psychologist. So I approach health and safety training and consulting work as a function of people and behavior. So hopefully that's interesting to you, but I take a slightly different approach than what a lot of people do in these courses. So hope that provides a little bit of insight into my background and experience. Now the frequently asked questions. When will the OSHA cards be issued? Usually we try to get those to you within 30 days of the course end date. So hopefully that answers that question. We can issue certificates in the meantime if they are requested. And we issue the cards to the employees, not the employer. So what happens is we ask you to self-address an envelope and we send that out. The OSHA cards do not expire, but in some places you're required to take the OSHA 10-hour or 30-hour course every so often. Sometimes it's 5 years, and you do have the option to take the 30-hour course within 6 months after taking a 10-hour course if you choose, so we just have to make up that 20-hour time frame. So I'm sure that you may have additional questions for me, but in the end I would thoroughly enjoy an opportunity to work with your organization and provide an OSHA Outreach Training course. My contact information is listed on the screen. Thank you very much. Have a great day.